Your microphone just turned off. There you go. Oh, wait. It went back.
We are live and having some technical difficulties, so bear with us here for a minute. We've got an amazing person that we really got to know from the Hope Center, Dustin Lee. Flagging. He was the first one that came and sat down and said, "I want to murder one." And I was like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "You know what a murder one is?" Like, no. Figure it out though.
That's that
Anyway,
prison. I can't hear y'all now.
Turned off now.
Now I can hear.
Now can you hear?
I can hear it. My phone's going crazy. I dropped it at work and it's all cracked, so it keeps hitting little buttons.
It's okay.
So if you can, everyone can comment and let me know if you're hearing and seeing everything the way that you're supposed to. There's Mr. Leo Morris. He says, "Hey." And if there's any questions or anything, feel free to type them out, and we'll either get to them while we're talking, or we'll get to them. Just want to get to them afterwards. Whether you're watching on the replay or not. If you would share, because what these guys have to say is important. And it may not affect you personally, but somebody you know is going to need something that comes out of these guys' mouths, I promise. Have you got everything shared?
Yeah.
Okay, we typically will start off with a word of prayer. Would you like to do that, Dustin?
Put me on the spot. I'm all right with that. I do believe.
Come on.
You ain't talking to us.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to give you, first and foremost, all praise, all glory to you. I just ask you to be with us as we get through this and help me to find the right words to say to maybe reach somebody that's struggling or just don't know how to reach out for help. I just ask you to watch over Michael and Amanda as they're amazing people and everything that they're doing. And just, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I got to cover up my baldness. I'm not around to see you, Michael, so I can't get no haircut.
Well,
You know you can come over anytime and get your haircut.
Well, y'all are not that far from me.
Well, why haven't you been over here?
Y'all, because I work so much, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to still. No, I quit the job I was working at because me and the boss got into it, and I'm trying to refrain. I'm trying to use what I learned in the Hope Center, to not go back to that person that I was. So an opportunity came at me at the right time with a really good friend of mine from years ago. So I came on with him to help him, and I'm supposed to be at work right now, but I told him, look, I was like, I got something to do. I got to leave at 6. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You didn't get in trouble, did you?
Oh no. He totally, like, his stepdad is Jesse Davis. He used to be a recovery pastor at the Hope Center in Dixon. And so he understands everything, that I've been through, everything that I'm, still going through, the day-to-day battles and all that. So when I told him what I was doing, he's like, I'm gonna make sure you're gone at 6. So
good deal.
I'm getting burnt.
So first question is what made you start using?
I wouldn't typically say I had a bad childhood. I was raised up with a mom and a stepdad. I never met my real dad till I was 17. Working at Waffle House, matter of fact. But my mom and stepdad got a divorce when I was 15, and I felt like it was my fault. You know, I've always been like the black sheep, even growing up. You know, I always felt like, because I was the only boy out of four, with three girls and me. So it's like I felt out of place. And then when they got a divorce, it just kind of happened spur of the moment. Like my stepdad came home from work and was like, I ordered y'all pizza. I'll never forget this day. He's like, I ordered y'all pizza. It'll be here in about 15 minutes. And oh yeah, by the way, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. So I was like, and I'm 15. I don't understand, but I don't understand. So I started getting in trouble, started drinking at an early age too. And I got arrested at 16 or 17 for driving a stolen vehicle. And that was my way for my mom and stepdad to meet at the jail together, trying to get them back together. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work. So I went down a downward spiral. I smoked a lot of weed when I back then. I used to smoke with my mom, and I had an alcohol hookup and at 15, so I would go get free alcohol and me and my mom would drink. So she was like my enabler, I guess that's how you would say it. But and then I got kicked out at 16, and then I stole the truck. Still didn't, like I said, it didn't work. And I clicked up with a gang at 17. Something I should have never done in my entire life. Yeah, and I started selling powder cocaine. But I've always my biggest go-to has always been pills. Any opiate I could get my hands on. Since I was probably 16, I've been addicted. I ain't addicted no more, but opiates, Roxy's, Opanas, Percocets, Lortabs, anything that would keep my mind altered. Like I said, I didn't have a bad childhood up until 15, and then it went downhill.
Yeah.
Um, from 17 to 21 is really a blur. I was stealing from my family. I was anything I could do to get drugs. I got robbed at 20. When I was 20, I got robbed out of the trails in Dixon. So I struck out to Arizona, to Yuma, Arizona. My cousin Eric, which is more like my brother, he was in the National Guard. So he was stationed doing border patrol in Yuma, Arizona. So I moved down there to get away from everything and ended up meeting a thing called crystal meth. And like
Arizona's bad with it right now.
Huh?
Arizona's bad with it right now.
Oh yeah. See, I was running what they call pink ice and blue ice from Arizona to Tennessee twice a week. And I ended up getting addicted to it. This first time I ever smoked out of a light bulb. And then if you didn't have a pipe, you could take a light. I don't know how to do it. Somebody always did it for me.
You hollow it out. I mean, not that I know, hollow it out, stuff in it,
and then you could do what they call chase the dragon off of the aluminum foil. And then that was the first time I ever did a hot rail, which is where you light the pipe, get it hot, and then you snort it, and it turns into smoke. I was up forever. I was dating the owner of a strip club at the time, and you can only imagine. I ain't gonna go into it, but you can only imagine. I ended up robbing the owner of the strip club for $4,500 because I took off in her car one day and I reached under the seat and there was a bag of money, like her bank bag. So I was like, she don't know it's in here evidently because she gave some strength. I knew her but didn't know her. Gave me her car, so I took off with the money. Ended up getting back to the Army or the National Guard because I was on the run as well. That there was a convicted felon living with my cousin Eric. And that either they could get rid of me, get me on the next thing, smoking back to Tennessee, or they were going to put him in Fort Leatherwood, the jail, the prison for Army people. So I was on the next bus out to Tennessee. I was homeless when I got back to Tennessee. My family didn't want anything to do with me. My sister Victoria, she's always had my back, but to a certain extent, because I moved in with her for a little bit, and I ended up stealing her husband's checkbook and writing all these bad checks, forging it, cashing them, and so he didn't press charges, but I wasn't allowed to be around my niece and my nephew. You know, my mom, she only came around whenever I could get her pills because she had beat cancer back then 3 times. So she was eating her Lord tabs like candy. So when she would run out, she would call me, and then yeah, it got bad. Like my life was going on a downward spiral. So on my 22nd birthday, I got stupid drunk, like trashed, and another VL, but a brother of mine, Vice Lord brother, talked me into going to rob a hotel in Dixon called the Ramada Inn back then. So I didn't have the gun, but I went in with him, and so he draws down on dude. He pulls the trigger of a sawed-off 20 gauge, and the gun jammed. And that should have been my sign right there from God that this ain't the life for me. This is like take a step back. And I didn't listen. I was young and dumb. I didn't care. So I grabbed the cash register and we took off. 2 days later, we got snitched on by the other guy that was with us and the girl, the driver. And I ended up going to jail on March 16th, my birthday is when we did the robbery. I went to jail 2 days later, March 18th of 2008. And I fought it because they were trying to get us for attempted murder at first. And then we finally beat that down. And then they tried to give us federal time because the girl that was with us said that we saw the 20 gauge off, which makes it a federal offense. So we were facing like 54 years. And we fought it and finally got it dropped down to an 8. I did 7 years day for day. A year and a half at Whiteville, we had a gang war. I went to South Central for a year and a half. We had another gang war, and then ended up going to West High for my last 4 in Memphis. I believe it's Memphis, outside of Memphis somewhere. And I didn't tell anybody for the longest time where I was at because at that time I thought I was done. I was like, I'm tired. I'm ready to change. I was going to church in prison, all this good stuff, but I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was trying to make myself believe that I didn't want that lifestyle anymore. And so September 27th of 2014, I walk out of prison. Flat, free, no probation, no anything. And mind you, in prison, there's more drugs than there is on the street. So my 7 years in prison, I stayed high. I mean, I had the little bit of rank from BL, so I didn't have to worry about anything. I was tattooed. I was doing tattoos on the side in prison to make money. So I stayed. I got on cocaine pretty bad in there, and because the pills were there, but there wasn't enough of them, and cocaine was plentiful.
Yeah.
And then that was the first time in prison that I tried heroin. And I immediately went broke on heroin because it was the best high ever, I thought at the time. I was like, can't nothing touch this. And then I always told myself I would never shoot up. I was like, I'll never put a needle in my arm. I did that for the first time in prison, and that was the only other way I would ever do the heroin or Suboxone. I started shooting up Suboxones, and yeah. That's just a part of my life that I don't regret because I still feel like it all helped make me the person that I am today. Because if I would have never experienced that, like going to prison, getting on the drugs, facing all this time, I couldn't, when my kids asked me questions, I couldn't tell them the truth. You know, like if my kids ask me any question, I don't lie to them about what I did in prison, why I went to prison, the drugs that I've done. Like they know, you know. And I didn't see anybody for 6.5 years. I didn't want nobody to come to see me in prison. I didn't, like I said, I didn't want anybody to know where I was at for the longest time because in my mind I wanted to change. You know, I wanted my family back. I wanted to get out. I wanted to get married. And so on my last parole hearing, I went up for parole 6 months left into flattening out. And I walk into the boardroom, and there's my sister and my cousin Sabrina. Didn't know they were coming, you know. So it sucked because I got shot down for parole, but it was nice to know that I had somebody that had my back. So my sister was like, "If you're going to be straight when you get out, you can move in with me. You know, you can come live with me, and we'll get your life back together." Yeah, that lasted about 32 days. And all I wanted to do was get high. You know, I felt that little bit of freedom, and I was like, I just want to get high. I didn't want to work. If I did go to work, it was to support my habit. And I was robbing the employer I worked for to get high, to stay, just to stay high. You know, I had my first kid in 2005 before I went to prison. Never been a daddy to him. He's 19 now, and I'm just now trying to, you know, like he reaches out to me every now and then on Facebook, want me to meet up with him and have lunch with him. And I'm like, you know, I agree to it, but I never go. And that's something I have to live with, you know, and because he's actually doing really good. He's going to college, he's working a full-time job, has his own apartment, you know, and it's like, where did you get that from? Because you didn't get it from me. But I met my wife now. I said I was probably out of prison 4 months, and I met my now wife. Moved in with her, and back then, I wouldn't say I was really serious about a relationship, you know, whatever. And she knows all this, so she's watching. It's nothing new to her because she recognized game from day one. Um, she had had a back surgery, so she was getting Percocets and morphine and stuff like that, you know. So I would I would take from her, knowing that she's in all this pain. It was like I didn't care as long as I was getting high. I didn't care. Um, so I costed us to lose the house that we got married in back in 2017. We had our first house ever together. You know, we've always lived in apartments, which we're in now. Um, but we got married in Burns in this nice house, man, and I costed us to lose that. Then we moved to I've costed us to lose apartments, cars. I never helped pay a bill. You know, I always left that on her because I would spend my almost my whole paycheck on just to get high.
Yeah.
And then last year, um, we were moving out of one apartment that I caused us to lose because I had got hooked on top of the Percocets and the Roxys. I had got hooked on them Zaza pills. Y'all have y'all heard of it? That they
I
used to
haven't.
these little Iranian stores used to sell them. They were Zaza red. They were in a black bottle with a red label. You could take two of those and it feel like you took a Percocet. And they sold them over the counter, which I mean they're now illegal. But I was taking, gosh, probably 3 or 4 bottles a day, which is 15 pills in a bottle. On
Yeah.
top of the Percocets and the Roxys. Like as soon as my feet hit the floor in the morning, I'm hitting up everybody I know to either get some money, getting some money fronted, or trying to figure out who I can get some pills from because by then my wife had cut me off because I was stealing her pills from her, you know, and it was just bad. Um, so last year, either you know, like I said, my birthday's March 16th. We were in the process of moving out of one apartment into another, so we had two apartments at the time. and I had been staying in the old apartment with just a TV and a couch. That was it, because she didn't want to be around me. The kids didn't want to be. The kids hated me. Nobody wanted to be around me because I was choosing my addiction over my family. And like I said, I had caused us to lose that apartment because I never paid bills. I would go to work just to support my own habit, and I kept denying it and denying it. I'm not getting high. That's not me. Blah blah blah. Little did I know I was losing so much weight that I look in the mirror and I look fine to myself, but to everybody around me, I look like death. I look like just like I'm dying. So I left. I got paid on a Thursday. I left when Jessie, my wife, came to the old apartment. I would start arguments with her just so I could leave. I'd get in. I didn't have a truck at the time or a vehicle because, like I said, I didn't know how to pay bills. So I lost every vehicle I've had. So I jump in her car, which was a Mustang, and I went straight to the store to buy some Zaza pills because I finally got paid. I've been laying on the couch for a day and a half waiting to get paid because I needed something. So I go and get 2 bottles. I down a whole bottle. I wait about 20 minutes when they start taking effect, and it's like I hit a wall. The first person I called was my sister because she knew something was going on with me, but I was in denial. And I called my sister, and I immediately I break down. I'm like, I can't live like this no more. I was like, I just want to die. I don't want to be here no more. I'm losing everything I've got. I'm losing my wife, my family, my kids. And we were in the process of adopting Day Day. Our 2-year-old, he's now 2. We got him when he was like 2 weeks old. And it's like, I wanted to be in his life. If I couldn't get help, I would rather have been dead. Because I was going down that path to where I had already lost my cousin Eric, the one that I moved to Arizona with, from an overdose back in 2017, 17, because I refused to let him come to my wedding, and he was supposed to be my best man. And I didn't even tell him I was getting married. And then a couple weeks later, I get a phone call. Hey, my sister calls me, and she's like, Eric's dead, Anna walked into his room, and he still had the needle sticking out of his arm, and I felt like for the longest time, and honestly through the Hope Center, I thought that it was my fault that he was dead, because he would call me, hey, come over and just talk to me, come over and let's just hang out, and I wouldn't go, because if I would have went, my wife would have left me, because she knew what I was going to go over there and do was to get high. So, but long story short, sorry, I lost train of thought trying to not, So yeah, I called my sister. I pulled over just in some random spot down the road, and I called my sister, and I start bawling, telling her, look, she's like, what's wrong, Dustin? Is something wrong with the baby? I was like, I need help. I can't live like this no more. She's like, have you told Jessie? And I was like, no, I'm scared to tell her because I'm afraid that she'll leave me. And then I won't have nobody. I won't have nowhere to go. I won't do nothing. So she's like, call Jessie. So I called. And she said that was probably the best phone call she's ever got, because I finally admitted that I had a problem. And like, I bawled to her. I was like, look, I need help today, not next week, not tomorrow, right now, So she's like, just come home, and we'll see what we can do. Because I've always said, every time I get called up, whether for getting high or whatever, I'll get help. I'll go to treatment. I'll go to these meetings. And it was just a way out, what I'm saying? So I can come back home. And
You text. You didn't call.
Oh, my bad. She said you text, you didn't call. Whatever. she stuck her head in the door and said you text, you didn't call.
I love her.
But so I'd always told her multiple times that I'll go get help. But for the next probably 3 days, I laid in the bed and called everybody. And then she was in the process. Like I was calling, I can't remember which one it's called, Buffalo Valley.
Oh yeah.
They had approved me for 2 grants or whatever, but they wanted me to get on Suboxone, and I didn't want to be on Suboxone because, in my opinion, Suboxone is just a legal drug that your doctor's your drug dealer. So I told him, I was like, you know what, I'll come, but I don't want the Suboxone, whatever. So then my wife's friend Star was friends with Zach Grace. So she's like, message Zach. And I still have our messages from back then because it's a reminder. So we messaged him, and then he was like, call Emily Himes. And I was like, okay, who is this? It's for the Hope Center. He's like, I work here. I'm the recovery pastor out in Clarksville. And I was like, boom, cool, because I didn't want to go anywhere close to home. Because if I'd have went to the Dixon Hope Center, I'd have never stayed. Because I know everybody. I'm from Dixon.
Yeah.
So I called Emily, and I will always be indebted to Miss Emily Himes because she constantly was in rotation with me, calling me back, texting me, checking on me. She's the one that got me into detox in Jackson. I can't remember the place it was called. So March 22nd, I leave for detox. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was to leave my wife.
Yeah.
Because we had never really been apart. Like I did. Thanks, Justin. Justin just texted me. He said, "You're doing great, bro." That's my guy, man. So I had been away. The longest I've ever been away from Jesse was 7 days. I had to go do 7 days in jail here in Williamson County for some stupid stuff, but I was getting high, and I wrote. Once again, I stole some checks from my boss and wrote like 12 grand in bad checks. Mm-hmm. He didn't press charges on me. The place that I cashed them did. So I had to go do 10 days in Williamson County Jail, which is at 75%. And I only had to do 7 days. But we would video call each other. Like they have the little monitors where you can video call home and all that. So that didn't make it that hard, but I was literally only allowed to call for an hour at a time. But when I got to detox, knowing what I was going in there for, and doing it for myself and for my family, first and foremost, it was still hard to let go. I had to watch her leave, and she was a wreck. Which, seeing her cry like that, it tore me up, but it also helped me at the same time. I need to do this. If I'm not going to do it for me, I need to do it for that woman right there that's had my back since day one when nobody else did. So I was in detox for I think 4 days, and they kept trying to put me on Suboxone there too, and I kept refusing it. And they was like, well, why are you refusing Suboxone? I was like, because I want to know what I put my body through for the past 20 years. I want to feel the detox. I want to feel what I've done to myself. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you it was horrible, coming off them Zaza pills was probably that was the worst detox I've ever been through, was coming off the Zaza pills. Detoxing off heroin, meth, everything wasn't anything. But the Zaza pills was by far the worst detox in my life.
And they were legal.
And they were legal at the time, right? And I mean, they were $30 for a bottle of 15.
Wow.
And yeah, I would work, like I'd take 5 or 6 of them and I'd be going, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But when you crashed off of them, like you crashed, like you just wanted to go to sleep. So I get out of I finally, the doctor never came to see me because I kept refusing the Suboxone. So they finally They assessed me one more time. It was like, do you have somewhere to go when you get out? I was like, yes, I'm going to the Hope Center in Clarksville. He's mad again. So she comes, she drives all the way back to Jackson. She picks me up. I go home for the night, and we're supposed to be at the Hope Center before like 4 o'clock the next day. And yeah, that didn't happen. But before all that, like the support system that I had to get into the Hope Center was unbelievable. Like my wife made a post and she reached out to a couple people, and the donations just started coming in. Like I had a family member, Sabrina. We've always been close, but not close, you know, because she's doing her own thing. She's doing good. She owns a hair salon in Clarksville. Like she's on top of her game. She donated $100 just out of the blue for me to get help. And then a bunch of other people started donating money. And so I went to the Hope Center. I show up that Wednesday. Was it a Monday? I don't remember. I think it was a Monday. Yeah, it was Monday, the 20. I don't remember what day. But so I pull up to this house.
You were like,
yeah, like 9 o'clock late. And so I pull up to this house, and I'm like, man, am I even in the right spot? Because I've never heard about the Hope Center, nothing like that. I just knew it was a year-long Christian-based program. And I'm like, you know, I'll do a couple months and come home. I'll be all right, you know, whatever. So I get there, and then all these guys start coming out. And I'm like, man, am I going to have to fight, you know, or what's up? I don't know what's going on. And so I guess Grady, he was a community leader at the time, and he called Jaime. And Jaime was like, oh, well, you know, he was supposed to have been here hours ago. And they said, tell him to come back on Wednesday. First time I ever been turned down for something like that. I'm thinking, man, these guys are testing me. They're you know, they're thinking I'm not going to come back. So I was relieved to get to go home. You know, I was like, you know what? I can get home. I can talk my wife into not making me go back. You know,
Monday 27th.
Was
Wednesday 29th.
She keeps poking her head in the door. Okay, it was Monday the 27th, and they told me to come back Wednesday the 29th. So I get home, and I'm begging. You know, I'm doing everything I can, as I don't want to go. You know, I just didn't. You know, I made it sound good for the longest time. Yeah, I'll go get help. Blah blah blah. So she's like, nope, you either go to rehab or you lose your family. Well, I'm not losing my family. You know, so we take that trip back. We were supposed to be there at 12 o'clock Wednesday. We get there about 6, you know, because we can't never be on time for anything. It was probably 4 o'clock when we got there because Jaime was still there. So I think I fooled everybody because I feel like nobody thought I was going to come back, you know. So we pull up, and I'll never forget. That's the day I met Leo. I'm telling you, when I tell you that there is nothing in this world that I will not do for that man, I mean it. I was a wreck. My wife was a wreck.
You about to make me a wreck.
It was a very emotional day. Like my wife wouldn't even get out of the car. That's how bad it was. So I had to say my goodbyes in the car and then go in and speak to Jaime. And man, just seeing her cry is like more motivation than I could even say to do better, you know. So I go, you know, she finally leaves, and when she pulled out of that driveway, my heart sank. I didn't know if I was coming or going. I didn't know what to do. And then again, like I said, there's a man called Leo. And I've told Leo this numerous of times, man, that if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have made it my first 30, 60 days. He became my best friend. and my brother for life. Like we have we have cried together, man. When I got sober, like I finally got everything out of my system and was actually able to start feeling emotions again. You know, the Hope Center would send you to the movies and stuff like that. Me and Leo would always sit together because we were both emotional people. We cried over Bumblebee dying in Transformers. You know, I mean, yeah, like Leo, but Leo every night for like my first 2 weeks, 30 days there, I guess you could say, because you're not supposed to have no contact with your family. You know, Jaime let me call my wife one day because he was like, I know how tore up she was. Do you want to call home? And I was like, absolutely. You know, I just want to hear her voice.
Yeah.
And every time I'd hear her voice, I would bawl. Well, the days were okay, but it was nighttime that would get me. You know, I'd be sitting by the fireplace, and at the time Leo was a house leader as well. And he would look at me, and he automatically knew that I needed to call home. You know, because just that 2 or 3 minute conversation that I would have with her would make my night so much. Like I'd be a different person when I got off the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Come here. Come here. Come here.
There's the little man.
And this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to get sober for him.
Yeah.
But are you gonna go back in there?
That's good.
I love it.
Gotta have
That's
it.
Day.
Day, yeah. Well, his official name now is Dallas Lee.
Oh, I love it.
It's still Day for short, you know.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying, like I will forever be indebted to Leo. Like that man has helped me through so much, you know, and like if I would have never met Leo, I probably would have never made it through the Hope Center.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could just I don't even know how to explain it. Like he just knew, you know what I'm saying? And he would tell me, I know what it's like to not be able to talk to your family, you know, and that 30-day blackout period, when you first get there, they want you to get yourself together, you know.
Never made it home either because you didn't have a house key.
She said you would never made it home either because you didn't have a house key.
I love her.
But like he would just see it, like even if he asked me if I was okay, I would tell him, yeah, I'm good. And he'd be like, no, you're not, you know. And like that, when I say that guy has literally been there for me, like I wouldn't have been able, I can't stress that enough. I would have never been able to do it without him. You know, he played a big part of my recovery, and to know where he was at to where he's at now is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he will forever be a part of my family. My wife loves him to death. Like my kids, well, the kids that came up there, you know, for family support, they still talk about him, you know. And then I showed my mother-in-law his before picture and his after, and she was like, wow, you know, like
We show that picture just about every day to somebody.
and you know, and I do too, you know, and because it's inspiration, you know, like if he can do it, anybody can, because he was on the verge of death, and that man gave his life to Christ and just let God take control, and still doing it today.
Yeah.
I've got the most of respect for that man, you know, and it sucks that I can't get down there like I was when I first got out, but I'm going tomorrow. You know, I'm gonna be there tomorrow.
Since we're talking about it, if you can see this,
Yeah,
this was him in his tent.
that was in. Yeah, I've seen all them pictures, you know, and the transformation.
You could smell the death, you could feel it. It was everywhere. It was kind of funny you mentioned how how helpful Leo was to you, because when we were talking to him about rehab, he said, I'll go ahead and go to rehab, but I am not going to the Hope Center. And I said,
because of a Christian-based program.
probably. He didn't say why. He just said he wasn't. I will not go to the Hope Center. I said, okay. And so I pulled up a picture of Zach Grace, and I said, will you go wherever he's working at? Yeah, I'll go where he's at. Okay. And he didn't even know it was the Hope Center until we were almost there. And he's like, hold on. Is this the Hope Center I'm going to? I was like, I think that's where Zach Grace works. I don't know, but that's where you're going with Zach Grace works.
Yeah.
The look
Zach
on his
Grace.
face was so funny that he was not happy.
Zach Grace is another one that I've got the utmost respect for. When I heard Zach's testimony, every time, like, I could watch it on YouTube right now and I'll start crying because I know what he went through. You know, I've had multiple conversations with Zach, and the stuff that he was going through whenever he was in his addiction, he couldn't get high. I mean, he couldn't feed Lincoln a bottle until he got high. I was the same way. I didn't want nothing to do with anybody until I was high. And when I wasn't getting high, I was, forgive me, hell on wheels. Like, nobody wanted to be around me. My kids didn't think I'd make it through the Hope Center 30 days, you know, but when I did, hearing them say that they're proud of me, hearing my wife say that she's proud of me, hearing my sister say she's proud of me. And before my mom died in February, I was still in the Hope Center, and I was third phase at the time.
Yeah.
So I got to be there. You know, I got there, and I think I left early, picked Jesse up. We went to my sister's house. That's where my mom was at. That day, of Valentine's Day, of all days, you know, they were supposed to transport her, you know, because my sister, they told her she wasn't going to make it. You know, we knew it was a downhill spiral. And that's another thing. Leo dropped everything one day and was there for me to get me where I needed to go for my, you know, the first time my mom. It's just I love that man. I love him. But so my sister calls me. It's probably midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. She's like, hey, you need to do, this was February 13th. I was like, you need to do whatever you can do to get to my house because mama's not going to make it. So I was like, all right, you know, I left. She had gave me a car before all that. So I had my own transportation. So I get up early. I leave at like 4 o'clock in the morning because that's when we were allowed to leave. But they had told me if something happens, you need to leave in the middle of the night, go, you know. So I waited because I was like, she'll make it. You know, this is not the first time we've had a close call, and she pulled through. Prayed about it all night, you know, and I was like, she's gonna make it. On my way to pick up my wife that morning, the hardest thing I probably ever had to do was convince myself that it's okay. You know, because she was suffering. My mom always been independent, and she was just suffering bad. So I get there, I get Jesse. We get to my sister's like 6:30 in the morning. My sister calls hospice and tells them, look, we wanted to transport her to Nashville because we don't think, you know, we want to get her to the hospice facility because we don't think she's going to make it. So they was like, all right, we're trying to get an ambulance, blah, 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 you know. Oh, so before that, when my mom was still coherent, she did on Mother's Day last year. I wasn't going to call her, but once again, there's a man called Leo and Grady. They was like, just call her, you know, and just tell her you forgive her. Because when I decided to go to the Hope Center, I text my mom. I was like, hey, I'm going to rehab. The only other text I got from her was why. And I'm like, because I want to get help. You know, I don't want to live like this no more. So I didn't talk to her ever until Mother's Day. I sat on the top steps by Leo and them's room and quietly called my mom. And she, about the third sentence, she told me she was proud of me. And that broke me, because I'm 39 and my mom has never said she's proud of me, so it meant something to me, so back to February 14th, my sister takes my mom's blood pressure and it's so low that if we were to move her, she wouldn't make it. So she called off the ambulance and I didn't leave her side, because you can just always tell by the sound of somebody's breathing,
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably 11:15. I'm sitting there beside her, and I had been messing with her because my brother-in-law had made me some scrambled eggs and stuff, and my mom loved his cooking. So I was like, "Look, if you just wake up, you can have my eggs." Just trying to lighten the mood, And I look over, and I immediately look at my sister, and I'm like, "She's not breathing." So 11:15.
Yeah.
When she took her last breath. But I am very thankful that she got to see me sober.
Mm-hmm.
She never got to see me sober. Nobody's ever really seen me sober. And I'm glad that while she was still able to comprehend and understand, that she got to see me that way. Not the guy that's always begging for money or just let me get 2 or 3 of your pills, do this, do that. She got to see me fat.
Yeah.
I've never weighed so much in my life.
Yeah.
But so that, I ain't gonna say that it didn't hurt because of course it hurts. But I had made peace with God, about it. I prayed about it, and she went so peacefully that it helped me because everybody thought that when she died, I was going to relapse. One of the last things that she did tell me was, no matter what happens, don't go back. Don't relapse, because she knew she was coming to an end. And she died at 62. She was young, but I made her a promise, and I've not failed that promise yet. I don't even think about. I don't care about drugs. Like I don't care about weed. I don't care about none of that stuff. It's just like, whatever. It doesn't bother me. I smell it 24/7 in our apartment complex. Because our neighbor smokes, and I'm like, that doesn't bother me. I can be around the pills and stuff like. I haven't. I don't even gonna say that I have been around them, but I don't have that urge, that taste. Well, let me just get one. And I'll be all right after one, because I know what's going to happen if I get that one.
Right.
I know that road. I know what it does to me, and I know the effect that it'll have on me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
Since I graduated the Hope Center, me and my wife's had a few arguments, but for the most part, it really couldn't be better.
Yeah.
I've got my family back. Oh gosh, what does that look about?
We'll talk about it.
I know what's coming.
Talk about what?
Where, who, and when you've been around them.
I haven't. That's what I said. I'm getting drilled. But used to, I couldn't call on anybody in my family because the only person that would answer the phone is my sister. She'd be like, "What? What do you want? I don't have no money." Now I can call my sister, or if I don't talk to her for a day or two, she'll call me. "Hey, why haven't you called me?" And I'm like,
I love it.
I'm busy. I work a lot. And if I'm not at work, I'm taking, I'm with the kids. But graduating the Hope Center, like I have the utmost respect for the Hope Center. They stress to you, it's not the Hope Center that's going to keep you sober, but I won't give the Hope Center another year of my life.
Yeah.
Granted, I love Jaime to death. Like if Jaime was to call me right now, I'd be like, hey, anything, I'd drop what I'm doing for him.
Yeah.
He has been there for me. He has helped me through some stuff. Leo, I can't stress that man enough. Like I don't talk to Leo as much as I used to, but I don't care if it was 3 a.m, he was broke down on his way to work. He called me. Guess what? I'm going to him.
You go.
In a heartbeat. Like, and that's one person that my wife would never even ask a question about. She'd be like, "Where you go? What are you doing?" I'm like, "Leo needs help. Go."
Well,
Leo's
I have to go over here to the house.
Yeah, well,
we live in Fairview, so I mean we're like 45 minutes from Mount Juliet.
Okay.
But like I said, Leo will always be family.
Yeah.
As and any of the guys in the Hope Center, because I haven't been down there in probably a month, man, because with all the rain and everything, we've been so backed up at work. But I am going down there tomorrow to counsel my guys, and just see them, because I haven't been down there, and I do miss my guys.
It's a little over a month, I think, for us being there too, because of the surgery.
Right. And I know Leo's coming to, spend the weekend with y'all or whatever, so I'm hoping I can get down there early enough to see him tomorrow. If not, I will catch him. I'll catch him.
I think he's coming Saturday. I don't think he's coming Friday.
But yeah,
he does. Well, he's on there.
But
Yeah.
I mean, life after the Hope Center it definitely has its ups and downs. Like I still get into those like depression. I ain't gonna really say depression, but just those what if stages.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not gonna say the temptation's not out there. It's just hard out here. But I have a wife to fall back on. I have a sister to fall back on. I have 5 kids to fall back on. And it's like I got to see my oldest stepson graduate the other weekend.
How was that?
It was great. I mean, the weather held off because it was supposed to thunderstorm real bad that night, and it didn't. And then he's going off to college in August, and I'm around to be able to see that. They actually want to be around me now.
Good.
And before, like they told me about halfway through the Hope Center, why couldn't you have done this 2 years ago? And I didn't know I was that bad. It's crazy. And I look back at it now, and I still wouldn't change anything. Like I have regrets, but I don't have regrets because like I said, if I wouldn't have went through the things that I've went through, I wouldn't be who I am right now.
Exactly.
I'd have never met a man named Leo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I work every day. I come home straight from work, not going to the dope house. I come straight home, Oh, here we go.
Now ask them if they need the testimony of a wife.
Did you hear?
What did you say?
She said, now ask them, do they want the testimony of a wife, of an addict?
Yes, actually, I want to do that at some point.
Well, she said, whenever you're ready. She said, whenever you're ready, she's got you.
Good deal.
Yes, we'll do that.
At it,
We're pretty much out of time for today. We've only allowed to stay on for an hour.
I've used 55 minutes. I'm sorry.
No, it's been great. We'll have you back on. Maybe have both of you at the same time. That way we can watch you fight.
We may have y'all come to the house.
You just give us a time and a day, and we'll be there. We might be a little late because my wife can't get ready for anything.
She's fixing to make an appearance. Watch the window.
You can see
Yeah,
her.
Yeah, if you watch the window, you
I'm waiting to hear them footsteps. But no, we would love to.
I'm not doing it because you knew I was going to, but you a lie.
Oh, Mama's getting you.
We would love to come down, and even when I first got out of the Hope Center, and I messaged you, Amanda, and I was like, "Let me take y'all out to dinner." That still stands.
We still haven't done it.
I know.
she even told me about it.
Our favorite place to eat is Shogun's in Brentwood.
Dude, I thought about the other day when we was over there.
It's a Japanese hibachi.
Yeah.
It is so good. It is great.
We'll hook up.
No,
We'll have
Leo
to.
wants to know where your hoodie is.
That my mom, he got me from it's in my room. When my mom died, he surprised me, and I came back to the Hope House that night, and he was like, "Hey, go get that black hoodie out of my closet for me." And as soon as I grabbed it, it's a picture of me and my mom the day I got out of prison. And on the back it says, "Your wings were ready, but I wasn't."
Yeah.
And I can't. Here it comes. I know we're almost out of time. Let me find my camera.
There it is. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And then it said, like I said, it says, "Your wings are ready, but my heart wasn't."
Yeah.
And I broke. Like, that was for him to just go out of his way like that. And him and my wife were in cahoots with it because she sent him the picture, and I was here. And like, I was beside her. I know we're running out of time, but I was beside her while she was texting Leo, sending him pictures, or whatever. And I knew nothing. So
good job, Leo.
And JJ, I think JJ's the one that picked out the words on the back, and it means so much to me. Like, I couldn't ask for a better Leo.
He's pretty awesome.
He is. Like,
well, I think I don't know if he knows, but I think we're going to be getting on him because we did. He did a live with us, but it was when we were tinkering. You know what I mean? When we were testing things out and whatever. And I think we're going to do like an official live with him this Saturday. So
maybe I might. Well, I got to work for a little bit Saturday, but
yeah, we can watch the replay.
Yeah, you can watch the replay.
Yeah, and it's the same as we always say. If anybody's got prayer requests, send them to us ministry@gmail.com. We'll definitely have you back because I know there's way more to the story, and it's like captivating.
Yeah. I can get more in depth, but I knew I didn't know how long, and this was kind of like spur of the moment too. So
yeah.
As soon as you asked me, I straight agreed. I was like, yes, most definitely.
I think I messaged you this morning. Like, hey.
So, yeah, I love it.
We'll have your wife on sometime. So
sounds good.
I wish you won't be throwing things at you, but we can see a reflection in the back window.
You say what?
So when she opens the door and throws things at you,
when she opened the door. She's in there laughing. Like, I can hear her
if there
laughing.
wasn't a delay, I could give you a heads up. Be like,
all right. Well, I know we're out of time. It was great to see y'all, man, and I'm glad y'all reached out.
Yeah.
I was hoping Leo would be there too.
yeah, we'll do it again. Love you.
Love y'all too, man. Y'all be careful, and thank y'all for everything y'all do. Y'all are amazing.
Absolutely. I love you. We'll see you soon.
Love you, bud.
I love y'all, man. Absolutely.
All right. Bye.
Bye.